The war of the Ukrainian front has entered into the winter phase, and it looks like it will still be long and difficult. In this situation, Kyiv cannot do without serious support from the West, but is the West ready to continue to carry this burden? All this talks about war fatigue. Is there truth in them? I'm Oleskii Matsuka, and in this video we will figure everything out. 9 a.m. British military base, Bryce Norton. Arms boxes been loaded on the military plane. Flight in the regime of strictest secrecy. On board are Brimstone 2 missiles with a laser guidance system, those that are from the category of fire and forget. A few hours later, the boxes are unloaded at one of the airports in Eastern Europe, and already at night the Royal Air Force plane returns to the Bryce Norton military base. This is what an ordinary day looks like, when arms supplies have already become commonplace, when the West is trying not to leave Russia a chance either to win this war or to develop and advance. Yes, the Prime Minister has changed in Britain, but military supplies are still on schedule. But is everything so stable with Ukraine's other allies? How much is enough? NATO is already saying directly, Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a European September 11, when there is no time for discussions. Dangerous, not dangerous? The question is already much tougher. Here it is the edge of security in the world.
The Russian invasion was a wake-up call, a grave warning to defense and security systems. This is a pivotal, life-changing moment that has brought the conflict right to our borders. Camille Grant, former Deputy Secretary General of NATO.
What they say at any high meeting of the alliance. Here, for example, it was recently heard in Bucharest. If Russia is allowed to win the war, this means, in principle, to be allowed to live without rules. If the invasion goes unpunished, no one else be safe. The question will be, who is next? Taiwan, the Baltics, someone else?
We cannot let Putin win, otherwise it will give the green light to other authoritarian leaders, show them that they can achieve their goals through military force. This will make our world even more dangerous for all of us. Therefore, it is in our common security interest to support Ukraine. Jens Stoltenberg, NATO Secretary General.
Yes, in the summer, both European and American newspapers were full of headlines about the so-called war fatigue. But then an event occurred that changed the tone of articles and publications. When the Ukrainian army, kilometer by kilometer, first recaptured the Kharkiv region, then part of Kherson and Zaporizhia region, and this convinced many, the same Olaf Scholz, who for many months showed, let's say, restraint. And now he says, frankly, Berlin learned serious lessons for itself.
We will continue to support Ukraine for as long as it takes, economically, financially, humanitarianly, through the reconstruction of the destroyed energy infrastructure and also with weapons. Continuous attacks on vital infrastructure, on water and power grids, on Ukrainian cities and villages is a terrible and at the same time desperate, scorched earth strategy. Olaf Scholz, Chancellor of Germany.
Such intonations surprised even the journalist of the German newspaper Bild. After all, the Chancellor used to allow maximum statements that Russia should not win. The newspaper article collected the opinions of political scientists who are sure that initially Scholz underestimated the situation. This is probably why Germany was in no hurry to provide military assistance.
What it means? In military terms, Germany is no longer afraid of Putin. This is how the new position of the German Chancellor is assessed. From the publication of the Bild newspaper.
And already this week Germany announced that it would transfer to Ukraine 70-part anti-craft installation, Cephes drones, spare parts needed for the repair of Mi-24 helicopters and several other types of military vehicles. But for the sake of objectivity, it should be noted Germany is still cautious in the question of large-scale assistance. The transfer of Patriot air defense systems has been delayed. Berlin is ready to give them to Warsaw, but not to Kyiv.
It is important to separate the discussion about the 3 Patriots that Germany has proposed to protect Polish airspace from the issue of additional air defense for Ukraine. We all agree on the urgent need to help Ukraine, including with air defense systems. Jens Stoltenberg, NATO Secretary General.
In general, the alliance is still cautious. What Kyiv is trying to remind of at every opportunity.
We started the conversation about the Patriots at the very beginning of the war, in fact, before the war. But now it's time to make decisions. The question is what will be the cost of passing this winter. And of course, the presence of the Patriot air defense system, the presence of other advanced air defense systems, their delivery to Ukraine within weeks, not months, will significantly reduce the price of this war. Dmytro Kuleba, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine.
But can this be regarded as fatigue? No, any term is suitable here. Caution, restraint, indecision. But even Italy, where pro-Russian sentiments are strong, is transferring anti-aircraft missile system to Ukraine. Military equipment will be sent throughout the next year. And Kyiv received help from neighboring Spain. The first Hawk air defense systems have already arrived in Kyiv, and the fact that helping Ukraine is a mission without deadlines is now understood by the countries of the alliance. If not all, then a lot. Yes, it's not easy for the European Union to help Ukraine now. Here, too, there should be no illusions. And every month it gets harder. Still, energy prices in Europe soared so that everyone noticed it, from the poor to the rich. But despite this, according to the results of a pan-European public opinion poll, 50% of European Union residents believe that their countries should support Ukraine. Perhaps this opinion is also because Europeans constantly see reports on the Russian war crimes on TV screens, and for them this echoes what happened during the Second World War. And it's difficult to turn a blind eye to today's footage. And now France has launched the creation of a tribunal to investigate Russia's war crimes. Despite all the caution, the same Macron demonstrated. The head of the Spanish Ministry of Defense, who arrived in Odessa, said that nothing will change the decision to help Ukraine.
Any other violent action would also not affect Spain's firm and clear commitment to support Ukraine in its defense against the Russian invasion. Margarita Robles, Minister of Defense of Spain.
And here, as it was before, against the fatigue factor, the offensive factor can overwhelm it. Despite the small successes of the Russians near Bakhmut, they are not able to turn the tide of the war. Yes, Russia has redeployed troops from the right bank of the Dnieper River in the Kherson region to the Donetsk direction, but they are unable to recover quickly, and the Ukrainian army, on the contrary, could prepare for the winter campaign. The head of the Lithuanian Defense Ministry is sure.
Winter brings additional opportunities and additional threats. Both sides will take advantage of the winter, but Ukraine has a greater advantage. Its soldiers are fighting for their land. They know it, they know their capabilities, they know how to fight. I think that the Ukrainians have more chances to develop an offensive in the winter than the aggressor. Arvydas Anušauskas, Minister of Defense of Lithuania.
NATO officials told the BBC that aid to Kyiv is now more focused and longer term than in the first panic-filled weeks after the start of the Russian invasion. And here is a new step. Both the United States and the European Union countries will train the Ukrainian military. According to the Washington Post, one of the bases will be in Bavaria. Ukrainians have been trained there before, but now the count will no longer go to units but to thousands. According to the newspaper, the US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin seeks to improve Ukraine's ability to maneuver on the battlefield with a more modern style of warfare that is less dependent on thousands of artillery rounds a day.
Although the training of the armed forces of Ukraine to work with individual weapons systems will continue, Western supplies are not unlimited. The purpose of the new exercises is to teach Ukrainians tactics that will increase the effectiveness of their already received weapons. From the Washington Post publication.
NATO allies plan to change the principle itself. If earlier training took place in small groups and to get acquainted only with specific weapons systems, now the Americans will train large groups of the Ukrainian military and they will teach tactics and coordination of infantry and artillery on the battlefield. And also, so that you understand the scale, as the US Department of Defense explained to us, the number of Ukrainian military who will undergo combat training at the American base in Germany alone will increase to 2,500 people per month. So, no matter how the war turns further, no matter how long it lasts, the allies, Europe, USA, Canada, Australia, will be with Ukraine. Bets are made. The cards are open. Yes, many factors will continue to influence the decision of these countries, from domestic politics to the potential need to help Taiwan as well, which means redistributing military supplies. But there are no reasons for fatigue in this list. And what the West will do, what steps it will take to stop the war, and how it sees this victory, we will definitely talk in one of the new videos. Don't miss the latest releases 3 times a week on this channel. Good luck and see you!